Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C, all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Super excited to continue to bring some amazing guests doing amazing things and definitely working to change the world. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Jose Escobar with the Connected Leaders Academy. We have Patrick Rude with the Dirty Little Secret Society, as well as Julian Noah from Breathe Capital Planning. Thank you all for your support. If you want to know about them or anything that Bomb Global is up to, you definitely want to visit our website at www.buildingaleadershipmindset.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, for continuing to support the mission and why we need to have a leadership mindset to move forward, grow, build, create authentic community, authentic relationships, and a successful business. And we are bringing those in this entrepreneurial space to continue to share their struggles and journeys through triumph to get to where they're at today, because it hasn't been easy. So we have a very special guest. I met Michael DeLon recently through my podcast application and Podcastify Me, who we had a one-on-one, and Michael DeLon creates credibility. As the president of Paperback Expert, he helps business owners publish a book that positions them as the expert in their field. Business owners seek out Michael to clarify their brand strategy and make them best-selling authors. They use his credibility marketing strategies to gain more clients, get more referrals, and grow their revenue. Without further ado, let's get my new friend out here, Michael DeLon. Give me 1 second.
Hey,
There you
Nikki.
go. How are you?
I am great. Things are very good. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy to have you. Thank you so much. I know we're going through this weather change right now and all that good stuff. Some are cold, some are hot. I was on a
Yep.
couple of meetings, and people that are in my community that are in Florida and Georgia and California, they were just raving about the warmness. And I'm like, pass that over here.
Bring it up. I know it.
Well, thank you again for coming on and joining the Bomb Global family. Yes, you've seen it at the beginning of this. We are celebrating 150 plus episodes at this point. So in the next 50 celebration series, you will be introduced to our community.
Woo-hoo.
So just know
Love
that
that.
you're on that list to celebrate our top 200 interviews. So, without further ado, Michael, tell us who you are, where you're from, and how did your journey start, your childhood, and going into what you do today.
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'll try to condense it and make it fun. So the impetus, I think, really started back on June 29th, 1987. And that's the day that my dad was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Mm.
And when I got home that night, Nikki, there was a note on the table from my dad to me. And it says, Mike, I'm up to the lake to see my mom. Be home later. See you later, Dad. Something like that.
Mm.
That's the last thing I have from my dad. That note hangs in my closet. And if my house burns down, Nikki, that's the only thing I'm coming in to get, because it's irreplaceable.
Mm.
Because of that note, I now write letters to my family, my children, my wife, on their anniversaries, birthday celebrations, graduations, event. I write letters to them because words have meaning. I go back and I read that note from my dad over and over again. And none of my family members have met my dad, right? He was gone before they ever came along. So the legacy of the written word is very impactful to me. Now, hang on to that.
Mm.
We'll come back to that.
Mhm.
My journey as an entrepreneur began. Let me go back. 1990, I got married to my wife, Jill. So we've been married now 34 years, I think. First 5 years of our marriage were like this. She and I are complete opposites. Okay. We both grew up in church. Nobody taught us how to be married. So after 5 years of conflict, we went to a family life marriage conference. Family Life's a part of Campus Crusade for Christ, and they shared with us over a weekend God's blueprints for marriage. I didn't know he had blueprints, Nikki. So we grabbed God's blueprints and we started applying them, and our marriage got better. This is through the 90s. We had 2 sons during the 90s. I was in Christian radio, marketing, and sales. And that's where I learned how to do marketing for small business owners, is during the 90s. Well, at the end of the 90s, God led me out of Christian radio into a startup.com back when Amazon was getting started. So I was in this town selling websites and banner advertising to hospitals and car dealerships who didn't even have websites back then. Well, that company was ahead of its time, which means it went bankrupt. And so I was trying to figure out what to do. And I said, God, what am I supposed to do? And he spoke to my heart. He said, Michael, I want you to ministry to families. I want you at Family Life, that ministry that changed my marriage. And I said, wow, why didn't I think of that? So we raised support for 2 years as missionaries, moved from Indiana down to Little Rock, Arkansas, to become missionaries to the family. I thought I'd hit nirvana. Why would I ever do anything else? So I served there and climbed the corporate ladder. And about 6 or 7 years later, I was on the leadership team of this worldwide ministry. And they started going through corporate reorganizations. And after the third reorganizational chart was rolled out, my name was no longer on the leadership team. So it's shuffling me around the ministry. That began a 2-year prison term, as I call it, where I was in a job I hated at a ministry I loved. So after 2 years, I got fed up. I'd had enough. I said, I got to get out of this place. So I talked to my wife. I prayed. I said, God, I got to get out. What can I do? And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go help business owners with marketing because they struggle with it. They hate it. I love it. And he said, go. So on January 1st of 2013, Nikki, I escaped from prison. And I left the ministry and I started a marketing consulting firm. And I had one client, I helped him break through some barriers and have some good success. He'd refer me to you. I'd call you. I'd say, Nikki, I can help you grow your business. You'd meet with me. We'd have a great conversation. And you'd say, Michael, who else have you helped recently? What else have you been doing? I said, well, I've been helping build marriages and families at Family Life. And you say, Michael, that's so honorable. Way to go. Oh, look at the time. I've got another meeting coming up, Michael. Let's reschedule and talk another time. And you'd usher me out the door. I wasn't getting clients because nobody saw me as a marketing guy. They saw me as a ministry guy. What do I know about marketing? And so I had to fix that. So I went to my church and I prayed, and God gave me the idea to take all of my ideas and put them in a book. So I did. I wrote my first book on marketing back in 2013. Then I would call you, Nikki. You set an appointment. I'd mail a copy of my book to you. A week later, I'd walk into your office for a meeting, and there it was. My book was on your desk, dog-eared, highlighted, underlined. You read my book. And in that meeting, you say, now, Michael, in your book, you said, how do you help me do that? And you'd hire me. I started gaining clients, and I thought, wait, what changed? The only thing that changed, Nikki, is I published a book, and as soon as you got a copy of my book, I instantly was an expert in your mind on marketing. You thought of me differently than all the media reps and everybody else. And that change of mindset changed everything for my business and my family. And so I got the idea. I said, well, why don't business owners write books? Well, it's hard to write a book. There's a lot to it. So I built a system where today we help entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches create a book without writing a word. And then we teach them how to use their book to gain more clients. And I get to serve people all over the nation in Canada to help them do that, take their expertise, put it into a book, and grow their business. So that all comes back to 1987. My dad died and left me that note. I think that's the beginning of my journey. Whoo! There you go.
Goodness. I know you have me like right with you, with your energy, with the flow. And there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh,
First of
yeah.
all, that was powerful. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and sharing, because I don't even think we had that on your initial conversation. So thank you for holding that information and bringing it here, because it's
You're
so
welcome.
important. When we take something as simple as a note, an idea, and we really run with it and build it out along the way. And then for me, what I get is that all the pieces were falling into place. Every time you hit a wall, you said, okay, wait, there's something more I can do. How do I approach it differently? Those are mindset
Yes.
shifts. And,
100%.
and oh my goodness, so powerful. That also you did not stay in a place where you felt that wasn't going to make you stronger, make you actually live in your purpose. So I love when you said that you left prison. Tell us about prison. What were those things in that role of your ministry, your work, and stuff like that? Why was that crucial for you on how you felt while you were there that didn't serve you?
Yeah, well, number one, they made me work every day on spreadsheets and tracking different products with different radio stations across the United States, right? And if you know anything about me, I mean, I love Excel, but I don't want to live in Excel every day. That is not me. I'm an energetic, vision-oriented, idea-generating factory. And when you say, well, just look at these 300 products and track them and see what the percentages change every month, it's like, oh, I mean, it was just like I went home every day emotionally exhausted. And the worst day of the week for me, Nikki, every week was Sunday night because
Mm,
I knew that I had to get up and go to prison the next day. And so it was the fact that number one, I was in a position that wasn't using my talents and abilities and skills. But number two, dare I say, the leadership of the ministry didn't really care. They had something
mhm,
that needed to be done. I was a warm body. Boom. There you go. Do that. That's what we need you to do. And they never came to me and had that discussion. Michael, what are your talents? What are your passions? Where could we fit you? Is this a good place still for? They never asked those questions. The leadership had their vision and they needed a warm body to do something. And I was a warm body that was willing to serve, but it ended up driving me out of the ministry.
mm. That's what happens when you don't take care of your people. The ones that really want to, the ones that really soak it all in. And I can 100,000% relate. Um, the opposite is I did love Sundays because I did love to get to work on Mondays. Mondays were
Yes.
actually my favorite days. Love what I did, who I served for the 14 years that I did it. But there was just still something inside missing, something burning to just be let out. I didn't know what it looked like. It just felt good. I just knew I had to. And after 14 years, I had to break that glass ceiling for
Yeah.
myself because just like you, different organizational charts. I even presented a potential way of really structuring it so that it gives me a level up in that leadership position because I was already doing it, just no title and no pay,
That's right.
um, which also drove me out. I actually became a notary, a mobile notary at that during COVID.
Yes.
So you can shift your journey if it really means that much. So let's kind of go into just what core values guide your leadership decisions and actions.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of my core values are based on scripture, right? Because I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I look at well, all right. Number one, Matthew 25 is the parable of the um, talents, right? And this owner gives one guy 5 and one guy 3 and one guy 2, and he says, go do something with them. And the point of that is, I've been given talents, abilities, and gifts. I need to do something with them, right?
Mhm.
And so out of that, because one day, and if you read that parable in Matthew 25, the owner comes back one day and he calls the servants. And one servant says, hey, I had 5, I gained more 5. And the owner looks at him and says, well done, good and faithful servant. I will put you in charge of more things. It's interesting when you look at that. The servant didn't get more money. He got a pat on the back. He said, well done. I think one day I'm gonna meet Jesus face to face, and he's gonna look at me, and I'm living my life so that he will look at me and say, Michael, well done. So I've got a 6-word phrase, Nikki, that leads everything that I do in life. And it's live this day for that day.
Mm,
I'm
that's a
living
writer's comment.
every single day of my life for the day that I stand in front of Jesus, and I'm wanting him to say, Michael, all the things I gave you, well done. Well done showing up on Nikki's podcast and building into others. Well done loving your family. Well done building a business. Well done. That's what I'm living
Mm,
for. So my mission statement that I've had for decades is really simple, but it's super motivating for me. Facilitate growth in organizations and individuals. So
mm,
every day I get up, Nikki, I'm looking, how can I facilitate growth in those I come across today? How can I facilitate growth in Nikki's life today and in your audience today? Because if I do that, I'm successful. I've achieved my goal. And I think Jesus is going to look at me and say, well done, Michael. You used what I gave you. How do I do that in business? How do I do that after today's done and I'm exhausted from a day of work and I walk into my house and my wife's cooking dinner and my girls are there, how do I facilitate growth in their life?
Mm.
That's the phrase that keeps running through my head that impacts all of my leadership, all of how I show up everywhere. I started today at 6 a.m. with 2 guys that I disciple every week, asking myself, how can I facilitate growth in their life? Because they have young kids. I'm past that age. How do I do that? So that's what focuses me on leadership is how do I facilitate growth in others and how do I live this day for that day?
Said by a true leader. And you can't be a great leader unless you're creating other great leaders. That is my
100%.
mantra. I live by that every single day. So, oh my God, this is alignment. This is when you can really sit back in your purpose and kind of see where it's gone and where it's going. I love your mindset about what am I going to do today that's going to lead me to that day, like that end of day. What are those questions? And these are things that we just don't ask ourselves, that it's really simple. And what do you think about the I don't know answer to everything? Because that drives me nuts.
Yeah. We don't accept it with our daughters. I've got 2 adopted daughters in the house who are 15 and 13. I didn't even tell you that part of the story. Um, but one of my 13-year-old, when we ask her something, she's like, well, I don't know. It's like,
Hmm.
no, that's unacceptable. You know something. You have an opinion. Think. God's given you a brain. Use it to think because that's
Mm.
just a cop out. And so we want you to think and come up with something. And it's not the answer is typically not a right or a wrong. It's why
Hmm.
did you do it? Why don't you want to do this? How about that? I don't know. Well, yes, you do. Let's
Yeah.
think about it. And I think, Nikki, one of the things that I've learned over the last few years is people, business owners, but people in general don't think.
Hmm.
We don't set aside time to
Sure.
think about a topic, an issue, a problem. And I've built into my life, thanks to a book that I've read called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. It's a phenomenal book, The Road Less Stupid.
I'm
He
going
talks
to
about,
jot that one down.
oh, you need to read it. It's an amazing book. And he talks about having thinking time every week, a 1 hour time in a specific spot with one question that you think. And it's incredible what happens and the ideas you will come out with, usually not in the first 20, 25 minutes. Because that's the time when your brain's going wacky and you're just getting rid of stuff. It's in that second 15, 20 minutes that you're brainstorming about something that you get great ideas. And in the last 10 or 15 minutes when you're looking at your ideas and going, that one is the one I need to I need to execute next week. And you put it on your next week's calendar and you start making progress, but you think, and you're right. People don't think about
Mm.
leadership. We listen to a lot of gurus and people and say, well, that was nice. That was fun. No, stop it. Think. What are you about? What's driving your life? At your funeral, what do you want people to say about you? Live your life that way. Stephen Covey taught me that in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People 35 years ago. People don't do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I just had this conversation. I had asked my spouse, I was like, "Hey, so what is the favorite meal that I make that you enjoy?" I don't know. Well, I mean, you've tasted my meals. We've been together for 22 years. Like, why would you not know that? Like, you can at least take some time. You may not have the answer right now. You
Right.
probably have to go back into the memory and reflect and say, okay, and then you can come up with an answer. But when we get the I don't knows, that drives me bonkers because we're not taking the time to really know what we want or how we want to get it. All of those things are just so important for our growth.
Absolutely. All right. So let's go back to food real quick. Growth. So I tend to be when I get to know what I like, I kind of stick to it. So
Me too.
when I go to IHOP, right? I like their pancakes. I usually just get their pancakes. So I took my 15-year-old daughter on a date on Saturday to IHOP, and we're sitting there. And I'm like, oh, I'll probably get pancakes, and I stopped. My youngest son, Jeremy, who's 25, is an amateur chef. He just loves to do stuff. And I remember him talking about eggs Benedict and how great it was and stuff. And it has a poached egg on it. I'm like, that thing just looks weird. And I thought, I'm going to try. I'm going to get out of my thing because Jeremy says it's really good. So I tried Eggs Benedict, and absolutely loved it. And I went, okay, I'm not going to get stuck in my rut all the time. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and try something based on somebody's recommendation once in a while. I think we can do that in leadership. So many times we look at our team and we say, oh, you're a writer, you're a programmer. They have other talents that they can bring to the team that we need to let them explore and bring them into different meetings and opportunities, because your greatest asset in business really is your team. You need to pour into your team. They will pour into your clients, and money will pour into your business. It's don't focus all of your time, effort, and energy on trying to get new clients. Build your team. They will bring you the clients.
Oh my goodness, 100,000% agree. And I'm all for that. I started without a team. I love to do like my own graphics and my own designs, like all this that you see here. I've created it, but now I have a digital uh, designer that actually does some more stuff, give me some time back, because I knew that that was their talent, even though they're trying to build something else. Whatever it is, when you give those opportunities and really tap into building a team, that's huge. That's true leadership. uh,
It is.
I always say to my team, like, I'm hiring you at this time, but it's not for you to just build Bomb Global. I want you to build your own as well. And how do we do that? Some already were established, some were not. Um, to have a full functioning team, being able to excel and thrive in their own businesses, but also to be able to show it. So that, thank you so much for again bringing those things up. This has been absolutely amazing. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to keep the conversation going, and we're going to see how we can get a hold of you, Michael. You have been so far phenomenal, and I'm sure it's just going to get better from here.
Thank you.
Trust me when I tell you. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Hello, hello. We are back here with Michael DeLon. He has been an absolute pleasure to chat and get to know with, and I can't wait to continue conversations outside of this podcast, because your leadership mindset has been absolutely, what you've shared has been uh, just mind blowing, and they're so simple, right? They're simple, but the way you articulate it, it even makes it simpler, and why, and it motivates me to take more action, and I've been taking action. So
Praise
I
God.
just want to let you know that. How do you maintain the positive, resilient mindset, especially through challenging situations? And what has been one of the biggest challenge that you had to overcome in your journey?
Yeah. So how do I deal with it is my belief in God's sovereignty over all things. So my phrase that I use, God is in control and he can be trusted.
Mm.
I start with that, I mean, every day, all day, throughout the day, because when I hit a barrier, a roadblock, it's too easy to go, oh, that hurt. No, God's in control. God's allowing this in my life to conform me to his image, to help me understand a different way to think, to go to him and to use the abilities he's given me, to bring in partners or something. So when I hit a barrier, a few years ago, we hit a barrier. Okay. I'm a marketing guy, right? I've got a marketing company with Paperback Expert. We help businesses grow. Well, a few years ago, we were trying to grow our business. So we hired a marketing company to help us. And I actually overspent my marketing because it wasn't producing the result. And we got to the point where I created a spreadsheet. It was called the Paperback Expert Go Broke Date. And I said, how much money do I have? How long can I handle this bleed? And I thought in my head, well, it's going to be 7-8 months. We'll be okay. I did the spreadsheet, 3 months. I was going to be out of business in 3 months. So I had to make some hard decisions, Nikki. And I had to do some layoffs in my own company. And I laid off my highest paid employee. That was me. I left my business for 9 months. My son ran the company. I went out and got a job to provide for my family until we could get things back in order for me to step back into my company and vow never to do that again. But it was a time when God used a lot of circumstances in my life to help me understand that my number one priority is to provide for my family. Okay. Number 2 is to use my gifts and talents to keep this business going, because this is a generational business. I've got a 200-year vision for my company, and it has to stay viable. So when I hit barriers, I stop and I always remember God's in control. He can be trusted. I need to go to him. I need to use the resources and talents I have to be able to navigate whatever he's put in front of me.
I love that. That's basically surrendering it all to him. You're taking your adjustments, right? You're looking at the numbers, which is also written word, which is also powerful, which also gives us a storyline. So
Yes.
an Excel spreadsheet to really work backwards. I love that. How long before I am broke?
Oh, yeah.
It probably not verbatim, but definitely something to really look at and really kind of adopt, right? So tell us, how can people, what do you have going on? What is it that you provide, as well as how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, the easiest way to get a hold of me is my website, paperbackexpert.com. That's where all things Michael live. What I do is I can help you do a lot of things. I can help you create a clear message. What I find is most business owners sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. They all sound the same. And you're not cutting through the clutter. So you need a crystal clear message that comes from within you, the story that you're not telling. One of my unique abilities, Nikki, is to discover that story and help a business owner cut through the clutter and become different to their audience and attract an audience. I can help you do that. We can help you create your own Amazon best-selling book and teach you how to use that book to grow your business. And I've got some people who have a book, they just don't know what to do with it. If you're a business owner and you have a book and you don't know how to monetize it, I've got a coaching program, and I will tell you exactly how to use your book to grow your business. I do that every month with my clients, and you're welcome to join that. So those are the 3 big ways I help people, and all of that can be found at paperbackexpert.com.
Awesome. Awesome. So what does Q2 look like for you?
Q2 is going to kick off with quarterly planning with my son, who's my chief operating officer. And it's really doing more of what we're continually doing right now, is serving our clients, staying out in front of people, doing more podcast interviews. I've got a podcast as well. We do a lot of the same thing. So we don't chase shiny objects all the time. We keep doing the same thing. And I don't offer short-term programs and things. I've got long-term programs that help my clients grow. So Q2 is going to look very similar to Q1 in what we're doing, because I know it works. And one of my marketing strategies and formulas is consistency over time. And so that's what we're going to do, is continue to build into our clients, serve them well, and help them make a massive impact in their audience.
Well, what you just said about doing the same exact thing, because if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Keep supporting. You have that to back up. So many times and I'm probably going to ask you a follow-up question. So many times we put something out there. How long did it take when you first put that out, your program out there? Did someone take to actually enroll? And how much did you have to do to finally get the word out there?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I knew I was onto something when I first started the business, and I went to a BNI group, And I stood up for my little dog and pony show for 1 minute or whatever it was. And I said, hey, I'm Michael DeLon. I run a company. I can help you create a book and without writing a word. And every head at BNI went, what? Because they'd never heard it before. I knew I had something. From there, I mean, I got a couple clients pretty early on locally. My business is national and international now. And so it usually takes a few months, right? But it took me a few years, Nikki, because my message wasn't right. That clear message that I talked about that I help business, my message wasn't right. At first, my message was something like, the easiest, fastest way for you to write and publish your own book. Right. And then after I couldn't get clients, I was like, why is nobody resonating with that? God gave me the idea as I was coming home from a conference one day. No, change that. And from the moment I changed it to today, we've stayed with the same message. Create your book without writing a word. That message, Nikki, is different from everybody else. It captures the attention of my audience. It compels them to lean in and go, how do you do that? And now I have a conversation. That changed everything. It took me a few years to get that, but that changed everything. That's the importance of having a crystal clear message.
And sticking with the
100%.
initial mission,
Yep.
not saying, hey, you know what? I'm not getting clients. I'm not getting likes. I'm not building. Why is that not happening? Obviously, there's a missing piece and we're not reflecting. We give up. We throw in the towel. We jump onto something different and new. When that happens, what would you say? What are your thoughts on that? When people kind of flip flop on their ideas, and really, what's the message about staying firm in their initial belief?
I think a lot of it comes down to why. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're chasing the almighty dollar, if you're building the business to get rich, to earn money, you're going to flip flop because things aren't going to work and go, well, I can make money over here. I can make money over there. I can do this. No. What changed my life, Nick, is when I published that book and I got clients. I knew this was something different. I am passionate about book publishing for business owners and growing your credibility. And that's why I've reinvented my business about a dozen times over the 12 years we've been in business because things didn't work. But I knew this was right. I knew it's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. And so that allows me to stay, to persevere and to find the solution. And where we are today is great. We're going to outgrow it. And I'm going to have a new challenge next month. Okay, we'll figure that one out, right? Something else is going to happen. We're going to find a new challenge. We're going to figure that out because I know the value of this. I'm not chasing the dollar. I'm helping build people and grow their businesses. So I think it comes down to why are you doing what you're doing?
Oh my goodness. All great stuff. Thank you. It has been absolutely phenomenal.
You're welcome.
Definitely plug into Michael's website. Can you repeat that for us one more time? We'll have it in the show notes as well. But I want them
Absolutely. Very simple. It's paperbackexpert.com.
Yes, thank you again. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm definitely going to go back and I say it all the time. I do this very intentional. Building this podcast has helped me grow not just my community, but just my knowledge, my perspective on things, just looking at things from a different light. And let me tell you that you have illuminated a lot of things, not just for me, but I know for our audience. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening and continuing to embrace the fact that there is hope, there is something more and something out there for all of us. We just have to go out there and really go after it scaredly. Just go after it. And thank you again. I'm going to just leave, and something's telling me to pull you back in just to give us a few words about not giving up.
Yeah, don't give up. Be yourself. I think that's the other thing is don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself. Show up authentically and stay true to the pathway that God's leading you on. Just do it. You have the ability to make it happen. Trust Him and work your tail off.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for listening to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset. That was Michael DeLon. And not just make it happen, but make it count. Have a great day. See you soon.